Perfect.
Yeah, you just like screw the bottom down
Okay.
until it's like really low in the front.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, the shadows are creeping in. But do you think those chairs are good when I have
Yeah,
them?
yeah, I think they're good.
Perfect.
I'm just gonna move it back a tiny bit so they can like walk.
Gotcha.
Hi, everybody. I'm just going to make one final announcement. So if everybody could go ahead and kind of, most of you are already sitting, but if you could just grab your seats if you have a seat. We are going to get started soon. I know Brandon has said that before, but we are going to get started soon. Sound check for the media one more time. You guys good? Perfect. If anybody is not, let me know. I know Brandon said for everybody to silence their cell phones, please. Questions are only from the press, and just make sure that you guys kind of stay seated because we don't want the cameras to just be filming the back of your heads. Thank you guys. Have a good one.
Good morning. Good to see you all. We're great to be here at Blue Springs State Park. Little cool, but it's a very nice sunny day and beautiful backdrop here. And I'm joined by our Executive Director of the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission, Roger Young, our Department of Environmental Protection Secretary, Sean Hamilton, and also Dr. James Powell, Chief Zoological Officer and Executive Director of the Clearwater Marine Aquarium Research Institute. We're here today to provide good news about some good work that's been done with respect to manatees, and also just to make clear our effort in this year's budget to continue the great progress that we've had, not only on rehabilitation, rescue of manatee, not only nourishment of our springs all throughout the state, but all that we've done for environmental restoration and for clean water. Now, this state park here, Blue Springs, is famous for being a safe haven for manatees during the winter months as they seek warmer water coming from our freshwater springs that say 72 degrees year-round. In 1970, researchers identified about 14 manatees in the spring here. In 2005, after years of restoration projects, researchers counted around 200 manatees wintering here in the warm waters. This year, Blue Springs broke not just one, but two records for the number of manatees seen at the spring. On New Year's Day, there were 736 manatees gathered at the spring. On January 21st, the coldest day so far of the year, there were 932 manatees gathered at the spring. So that's the biggest record we've ever had. We've also seen a record number of manatees at the Tampa Electric Manatee Viewing Center in December, with 1,100 manatees gathering in the clean, warm waters near the power station. So these increased numbers didn't just happen by accident. A few years ago, we were experiencing significant mortality in the manatee population. This required us to act. Working with the legislature and working with our state agencies, we did take swift action, not only fund research and rescue centers, but also to make even larger investments in water quality to restore and preserve the seagrass that manatees feed on. Now, you'll hear a little bit from FWC, but the initial actions were a feeding program with both Florida Fish and Wildlife as well as U.S. Fish and Wildlife, distributing over 600,000 pounds of leafy greens. And so that was something, as the seagrass had eroded, this provided important nourishment for the manatees. And since we responded to the increase in mortality a few years ago, we've had over $40 million that have been invested for rescue and rehabilitation of the manatee population. So we've never done that much in the state of Florida, not even close. So this funding has helped rescue programs like SeaWorld save distressed manatees and rehabilitate them back to be released in the wild. And in fact, tomorrow SeaWorld will be releasing 7 manatees here at Blue Springs. And 2 of those manatees, Mary Kate and Tink Tink, were orphaned manatees that were rescued right here at Blue Springs and have now been rehabilitated. So we're excited that that's going to happen tomorrow. We've also invested over these last few years $325 million for restoration of Florida's world-renowned springs. And this is important not just, of course, for manatee habitat, but it's important for quality of life here in the state of Florida, great recreational opportunities, and we're really proud of that. And we're also nearing $2 billion invested for targeted water quality improvements all across the state of Florida. So we said coming into office in 2019 we were going to do a lot. We've not only done what we promised, we've done more than what we've promised and over-delivered on that, and that's something that's really good. And so more recently, we have increased our support and prioritization for investments in the Indian River Lagoon, which is an important waterway for of course, manatees that live on the east coast of Florida, but really an important part of the entire east coast of the state of Florida. So we have done, since 2019, $163 million to support water quality projects in the Indian River Lagoon region. Now, more recently, in December, with money that we have in this fiscal year's budget, I announced the award of $100 million dedicated to the Indian River Lagoon Protection Program, which I first proposed in our executive order last year. This is historic investment that funds 21 priority water quality projects that will reduce the amount of harmful nutrients entering the Indian River Lagoon and will help keep these waterways clean. And I'm proud to say that this work is paying off because of the recovery we have seen for the seagrass in the Indian River Lagoon, specifically in the Mosquito Lagoon area here in Volusia County. The feeding program that we've put money behind, which we were happy to do, is no longer necessary to do. You've seen a growth in seagrass, and it's working as nature intended. And it's good to be able to say that as of the rates in 2023, the manatee mortality rate was back at its lowest level since 2017. So that's really, really getting the job done. So we're going to continue the momentum on everything that we've been able to do. We're very proud of all this state has to offer. I mean, we're proud of a lot of things, of course, in terms of how the state's managed our fiscal. I tell people, you look at Washington, the national debt is $34 trillion. That's over $100,000 for every single U.S. citizen that you owe to be able to pay off that national debt. Florida, we have the lowest per capita debt of all 50 states. We've paid off 25% of the total debt just since I've been governor. And if you took the Floridian, an individual Floridian share of Florida's state debt, it wouldn't be $100,000 per person. It's about $600 per person. Not that we'd ever ask you to pony that up, but if worst came to worst, that actually could theoretically be doable. $100,000 obviously is not doable. So we're proud of that. But within that, and then we've cut taxes every year in record amounts, including $2.7 billion last year, which was huge. And 2023 calendar year, we did a toll rebate program for our commuters, saving them hundreds of dollars. We eliminated sales tax on all baby items. So anything you need for a baby, whether it's wipes, diapers, cribs, strollers, all of that is permanently tax-free in the state of Florida. And we did many other things to help small businesses and to help many people. We're proud to do that. And yet within all of that, with declining debt, budget surplus, and cutting taxes, we still managed to be able to do really significant support for law enforcement. We have a $5,000 recruiting bonus program that we've had over 4,000 new officers join the force all throughout Florida. They're not wanting to join the force in some other states because they get treated so poorly. Here, we've got people that are moving from across the country to be able to come do this. I mean, I was talking to a police chief out in Southern California a few months ago. I was like, how are you guys doing? Like, we're doing great. It's just all my police officers want to move to Florida now because of what you're doing. And that would not have been the case, 20 years ago. So we've done a lot of support there for law and order. We've done a lot of support for education. We did $1 billion for teacher salaries in this current budget. We're going to do $1.2 billion in next year's budget that we're working with the legislature on. We have the more school choice than any place. We have all these great things that we've done with education. Higher education, we haven't raised tuition in a long time, so it's $6,300 to give or take, depending on the university, for in-state tuition. That's a lot cheaper than it is in most other places. So we're proud of doing that. And then, of course, what we've done with environment has been really meaningful, significant investments. And so it just shows you it can be done. You can do it right. So we're looking forward to working with the legislature over the balance of this legislative session. I have proposed for this coming year $330 million additional for targeted water quality improvements. That includes another $100 million for the Indian River Lagoon Protection Program's second year, as well as $9.5 million dedicated to our manatee rescue and rehabilitation protection programs. Additionally, we're calling for $50 million additional to continue to support our springs restoration throughout the state of Florida, and $55 additional million to combat harmful algal blooms and to enhance water quality monitoring. So we're continuing to do, I think, what folks want to see your government actually do things that impact our quality of life, our economy, all the things that make the state so unique. So we're happy to be here to say, I mean, there's all kinds of problems that present themselves in this world. And I look in Washington, they complain about the problems. They don't actually do anything about the problems. Here, we've had a number of things we've dealt with, but this was one. I mean, you had some serious mortality events with these manatees just a few years ago, and we decided to figure out what can we do about it. We put our money where our mouth is. You had great work by our agencies, both DEP and FWC. They did the feeding program, and now we're in a situation where things are much, much improved. So thank you for all your hard work, everybody that's been involved with this. I'm happy that this progress has been made, and we're going to continue to build off the progress going forward. Okay, I'm going to call up some folks to offer some remarks. So first, we'll have Director Roger Young from Florida Fish and Wildlife.
Thank you, Governor DeSantis. It is an honor and a privilege to be here today. And what a beautiful day it is today. What a beautiful location here at Blue Springs State Park. Today's a great day for conservation and the manatees. Florida continues to lead the nation in conservation successes, thanks to your leadership and thanks to the actions and support of our state partners working together. And this would not be done without leadership, support, and historic funding to be able to do this. And we're so grateful for your leadership and support from the top. The protection of critical habitats and warm sites have allowed manatee populations to rebound and thrive. And I'm so proud of our staff, our FWC staff and DEP staff, our researchers, our biologists, conservationists, our conservation law enforcement officers, all working together to create a task force that handles a problem when we're faced with it. And what we were faced with a few years ago was an unusual mortality event. And we put our heads together and we took action and we couldn't have done that without support of the legislature and the governor's office with the funding that they provided to us to take action to get something done. And we're super proud of that, and we couldn't have done it without them. Now, the FWC is committed to remaining vigilant in our mission to protecting and conserving Florida's future resources for future generations and future generations of families and visitors to enjoy these resources in the state of Florida. And we will continue to be dedicated to do this moving forward, and we will continue to make progress and do what's needed to protect these resources for future generations. We're thankful for the partnerships that are present here today, and we want to say thank you for all the work that we've done and been able to do together. But most of all, I want to thank Governor DeSantis for his unwavering support for the state of Florida, for conservation, and Floridians across the state. We are blessed for his leadership. Thank you very much.
Hey, good morning again. I'm Sean Hamilton. I have the pleasure of serving as Secretary at DP. I'd like to give you a warm welcome to Blue Springs State Park, one of Florida's 175 award-winning state parks, maintained arguably, well, not arguably, we've got the hardware to prove it, the best park service in the nation. So again, thank you for being here. So at DEP, we have a phrase. It's called Protecting Florida Together. We use it to basically memorialize the fact that collectively, we all have a mission to accomplish the environmental restoration and protection of our resources. And all of you know here that how critical our water resources are to our economy, our way of life in Florida. And for that reason, today, we are here to celebrate a remarkable milestone. Again, as the governor noted, you hear a lot about problems. Very, very rarely do you have an opportunity where you see we can celebrate success and we can see where things are actually starting to look better. And that didn't happen without the governor's bold vision and leadership on the environment, also with the amazing support and leadership from our Florida legislature. legislature, we're seeing incredible momentum in the protection and the restoration of our water quality resources. And so last year, the Governor signed Executive Order 2306, again, furthering the protections and calling for additional bold protections of our resources. And then subsequently to that, House Bill 1379 was signed by the governor, and that had key provisions to further the direction in his executive order, one of which the governor mentioned was the creation of the Indian River Protection Program. And more importantly, or equally important, was the call for and the award of $100 million in dedicated targeted funding for the Indian River Lagoon. And I don't think most can appreciate what it means to have targeted funding. It's not competitive. You're not competing with the entire world, the entire state. You're strategically focused on the projects here in this region that are going to add the quickest benefit to allow this lagoon to recovery. He's also called for strengthening our basic management action plans. Those are those restoration blueprints. It's what we use to work with all our communities to achieve our restoration goals. They expand the water quality improvement grant. And I think, again, looking holistically at the state, this is the opportunity for us to put investments in our communities that are married with local investments to improve water quality throughout the state. And then lastly, but not, I think also important, was our land conservation efforts. I think it's important to understand what it means to conserve lands and the protections they afford water resources like this. So by the numbers, Florida has committed as a governor over $1.8 million for water quality funding for projects since 2019. I think the breakdown, that's over 1,000 projects that once implemented will yield immeasurable benefits. And just by the numbers, and I think this is a pretty sporty estimate, that's going to reduce 2.4 million pounds, again, pounds, 2.4 million pounds statewide of nitrogen going into our waterways. That is an important step forward, and that's why you're going to continue to see the benefits that you see behind me today. And so this legislative session, we will continue those policies to advance the governor's bold vision on environment. We're going to continue to call for the robust funding that the governor is advocating. And then with that, and in coordination with the partnerships that Director Young mentioned, those are going to be the ways that we're going to solve some of the very complex challenges, but more importantly, continue to strive to leave our environment better, as the governor said, than we found. And so again, Governor, thank you for your bold leadership, and thank you all for your continued partnerships.
Dr. Powell?
Good morning. My name is Dr. Buddy Powell. I'm the manatee guy. And on behalf of manatees, I want to thank Governor DeSantis for his love, I happen to know this, for his love of manatees and appreciation for all his administration and what the legislature has done to try to help protect them. So today, I just want to say a few words about the record numbers, breaking numbers that we've been seeing for manatees here at Blue Springs and also elsewhere around the state that was mentioned earlier. I first came, this is a very special place for me. I first came here in the early 1970s as a young guide to Jacques Cousteau when they did the first documentary here. Later I was a biologist for U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service before this was even a state park. Back then, and this is hard to believe now, there were less than 30 manatees here. We used the alphabet to, this is animal A, B, C. I didn't even make it up to the end of the alphabet. And now, you know, so for 1970s, as Governor DeSantis said, we have over 900 manatees here. These numbers are heartening and exciting to see, as well as a tribute to the conservation work of wildlife managers, increased public awareness, and political will, such as Governor DeSantis and the legislature, to protect these incredible and unique animals. Of course, they're very special to me. Where manatees are doing the best are also the places like here on the St. Johns River and Crystal River, my hometown, where protections have been in place the longest. We know that manatees are injured and killed by boats, but they also need healthy habitats and clean water. What is good for manatees also is good for us. Governor DeSantis, FWC, DEP, and the other state agencies are strongly supporting the fight to make sure that manatees not only survive in Florida, but they thrive. State efforts are providing needed resources to help us clean up our waterways and address complex environmental issues driving algal blooms, the die-off of seagrasses, the manatee's food. It's encouraging that this year we have not seen the number of manatee deaths or rescues from starvation on the East Coast or the need to supplement feeding. Perhaps it's due to this improving water quality and seagrass recovery that the governor mentioned earlier. Tomorrow, there's going to be 7 manatees released here at Blue Springs that were rescued and rehabilitated by the Manatee Rescue and Rehabilitation Partnership. This is a unique consortium of aquariums, zoos, states, and federal agencies. There's no other one like it anywhere but here in Florida. If not rescued, these rehabilitated animals would have likely died. My organization, the Clearwater Marine Aquarium and Research Institute, as a member of this partnership, helps rescue and track these released manatees using satellites to make sure that they do okay once they go back out into the wild. What we're going to see is also in the next couple of months, our aquarium, as part of this partnership with the MRP with funding from the state, is also going to be able to provide that hospital to rehabilitate manatees before they're released. So all of these joint efforts by so many and for so long is why today we are able to see 900 manatees in Blue Springs compared to less than 50 years ago when I first visited as a young biologist. It's so wonderful that future generations will be able to marvel at the sight of these animals seeking a warm sanctuary, resting quietly out of harm's way. Thank you, Governor, and the rest of the...
Well, good. We're excited to see good progress. Things have definitely improved over the last few years. Took a lot of great efforts. Obviously, the money's important, but you also had folks that had a really good a good theory of the case, so to speak, about what needed to be done, not only for the feeding, but also to help with the renourishment of the native seagrass. And I think both of those have proven to be the right tack. So we're excited about that. I know we have some kids here for the field trips, and it's a good time of year to be coming to the state park. So we're open for our residents, but also people that are visiting. A lot of people know Florida. They think about a beach here or this or that. And obviously, we've got a lot of good stuff. These parks offer some really great stuff. So please take advantage of that if you're visiting. I did mention yesterday we were down in Miami Beach. We are not going to allow things in some of these pockets of Florida when spring break happens to just kind of go off the rails like it's gone on down there. That applies to anywhere in the state. Anywhere that any local governments, local communities that want our assistance, we want to be there. But we've had to go into Miami Beach and help out, and we want to do that on the front end so that we're not spoiling it for everybody else, because there's a lot to see and do all throughout the state, and we want to make sure that we have a good order, public safety, and businesses are thriving, and our residents are able to enjoy being Floridians and don't have any of their freedoms impinged upon. So you can count on us to be very active as the circumstances require. We'll make sure that we're working with our local communities up and down the state of Florida. All right, with that, we got anyone in the back there? Question? Yes, sir. I have not read any of the briefs. I mean, I think what the Attorney General's position was the correct position, and I think that she's done an able job of representing the state's interest in that. Well, hold on. Anybody else? Yes. Well, I haven't seen it, but if you take a position that we're going to fly the American flag and the state of Florida flag, and that's it. It's not targeting anybody. It's basically saying that we're not going to get into this business of doing this. So I think that's totally fine. I don't think you could say you can fly any flag you want except one or two. Then I think that would be maybe a content-based discrimination. But if you say we're going to fly the U.S. flag, we're going to fly the state of Florida flag, that's what it's going to be on our public buildings. I think that's totally appropriate to be able to do. I mean, you have seen around the world our embassies flying flag. I mean, it's just absurd, some of the things that they've done. And so if the legislature just wants to say, here's what we're doing, these two, and that's that, then I don't think that there's any problem with that. Yes, ma'am. Oh, where else? Yes, sir. We have a very important, good, consequential job that we have for 3 years, and that's just the reality. So that'll be my sole focus, and I'm looking forward to it. We've already done, just in the couple weeks that we've not been doing any campaigning. I mean, we've probably done more than any governor in the country just in the last couple of weeks, and I think that's what people expect. Last year we probably got more done than any governor's ever been able to do in 2023. And we're going to do a lot, in these next 3 years for sure. So we're excited about that. All right, anybody else? What do we got? All right, enjoy the nice day, y'all. Take care. We'll see ya.